everyone, and welcome to 4Panel, your weekly guide to the weird and wild world of comics, here on the Geek Show Podcast Network. As always, I'm Andrew, and I am joined by my co-host, Rob.
Hello.
We are not joined today by Mick, though.
No, he's doing other things. What could be more important than 4Panel?
I believe it includes drinking large amounts of alcohol, so that...
Okay, yeah, well, that's fair enough then.
Indeed. So, we have got an exciting show for you ahead, but first of all, we put a little caption competition out on Twitter after last week's show, including... I've realised literally seconds before we've done this, a contest which primarily relies on a picture might not be the best thing for an audio medium, but we're pushing ahead. So
if they want to see the picture, they can go on the Twitter.
Exactly. That is at TGS_The Geek Show.
And it's a picture of Dr. Manhattan and Silk Spectre.
Yep, with Silk Spectre about to light up one of her cigarettes. And we asked you to say, what's Dr. Manhattan saying? Well, I mean, technically we asked you to say what Laurie's saying, because some of us were quite tired when we put the caption competition up, but shh, it's all fine. And our response is from Mick. Mick, who is not here today.
Yeah.
Uranium, unfiltered, those things will kill you. And from Rob, as ever, a classy response of, that's not a mouth thermometer.
Well, I looked at the picture and she's got like a horrified look on her face.
She does. I mean, it certainly fits. Then from other Rob, we have got, it doesn't matter how hard I blow, no bubbles are coming out. And finally, from Graham, and I feel like I have to kind of put it on a voice for this one, no, the lighter's in the car, that's the detonator. Which came out weirdly like Jeremy Irons' Ozymandias voice.
Yeah, it also kind of reminded me a little bit of Michael Caine in The Italian Job, when you're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, shall we get on with this week's episode?
Yes, you promised me quiz.
I did. So, what today's episode was going to be was we were going to be covering the Crisis on Infinite Earths TV series. But I figured since Mick's here, and in a weird twist of fate, he's the one who knows stuff about that.
No, I do as well.
Still, we're doing it next week.
I will give a quick preview. It's good.
It is good. I'm very much looking forward. I watched the last two episodes last night, and
yes.
I'm very, very looking forward to talking about that.
We will talk about that next week, but my God, what have they done?
I know. But yeah, that's an all three hosts kind of show, I feel like.
Yeah.
So today we are doing what I feel like is kind of a classic style 4-panel episode of just, I've got some weird stuff to talk about. We are going to be talking about some of the lesser known races in the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
You look very excited, Rob.
Well, it's not that. I'm just when you say, because I was all prepared for like the alien races of the Marvel Universe, then you said lesser known, and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, no, this is not going to be, Rob, can you guess what Skrulls are?
Because Skrulls, Shia, Kree, I thought it's going to be, yay, stuff I know. And now it's like, oh, wow.
Exactly.
Bollocks.
So yeah, I feel like kind of most people listening to the show probably at this point know who the Kree and Skrulls are, because they've been used quite heavily in the movies and TV shows and what such.
The easiest way to define them are Skrulls are shape changers, Kree are the blue warrior type people, and Shia are the bird people, the weird space bird people.
Yeah, which actually that works, because before we started the main meat of this episode, I was going to give kind of an honourable mention to the Shia and the Brood.
Oh yeah, the Brood. I forgot about the Brood.
I feel like those are kind of the two other big Marvel races that haven't so much been in the movies yet.
Yeah.
And because they are like X-Men properties.
Yeah, the Brood, I never understood what the big red dot was all about.
Big red.
Aren't the Brood the ones with like the big red dot on the forehead? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think you might be thinking of a race from DC called the Dominators.
Oh, right.
They were like the yellow dudes with the big foreheads with the big old red dots.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting confused.
So the Brood are a race that first appeared in Uncanny X-Men issue 155. And they are basically an insectoid-based race.
Oh, yes.
Do you know the film Alien?
Yes.
The alien from that?
Yes.
They're them. They are like 100% just them.
So it was just like in the 1970s or 80s, they just looked at aliens, this time it's war, and went, ooh, good idea. Let's steal
I mean,
that.
that's true. For that is a very Chris Claremont thing to do, just going, them aliens and Alien are cool. I'ma steal it. Yeah, they are. To be fair to them, they are slightly different in that, like, they lay their eggs inside people, and then instead of, like, the chest burster thing, they turn into the brood.
Okay, right. I'm glad you clarified that, because when you said they lay their eggs inside people, I was like, how is that different?
Yeah, no, that's not the different. That's the bit that's exactly the same. Yeah, I feel like it's also one of those ones where it's a bit like with Morbius the vampire. It was like, well, we can't just have, things bursting out from people's chests. That's far too disturbing.
Oh, God.
And instead they have people, like, twisting and contorting as their limbs turn into, like, insectoid feelers.
Yes.
That's worse, I would say.
Yeah. And you mentioned Morbius.
Yeah, so specifically like cartoon Morbius, where they were like, oh no, we can't have vampires. Vampires are far too scary. So what if he just had leech-like suckers in his hands? Which, no, that's not better. Oh, those hands.
Yes, all those hands.
Also, the brutes fly around in big old space whales called the Acanti.
See, I like the space whales part.
I do like space whales are fun. And as I said as well, we are going to be briefly mentioning the Shi'ar, who first appeared in X-Men issue 97 back in 1976. And they are basically... So the Kree and the Skrulls are like kind of the two big empires.
Yeah.
And the Shi'ar is like the third one. And it's often... I kind of like the idea that they're sort of the least bad option.
Yes. One of the reasons why is because Xavier is basically dating the ruler of the Shi'ar.
Yeah, Empress Lilandra.
Yeah.
Who, although I feel like he was dating her up until the point he finally realised, wait a minute, Lilandra, you're part of an empire like taking over galaxies and subjugating people. That's bad.
Yeah, but for a while he was basically, I'm dating a space bird.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, I feel like I can kind of, for all of Charles Xavier's many sins, I can forgive that one because Lilandra is kind of like a cool bird lady with like feathers for hair.
Yes. Her sister, on the other hand...
Who, to be fair, is also a cool bird lady with feathers for hair. She's just also called Deathbird.
Yeah, and is a bit of a psycho.
She also has wings, though, which are pretty rad.
Yeah.
They're like all pink and purple and blue and yellow in there. I like Deathbird. I like the Shi'ar. I mean, I don't like the Shi'ar. They're terrible, awful, bad people.
Yes.
But I think they're cool.
Like any empire, there are terrible, awful, bad people.
Yeah. But I like the idea that they are all bad and terrible. But at least they're the empire that doesn't want to actively destroy Earth, so I guess we're on their side. Also, they have an idea I think is really neat, the Imperial Guard.
Yes.
So, like I said, the Shi'ar, they're an empire, but they don't so much destroy other races like, say, the Skrulls and the Kree do. They instead try and amalgamate them within the empire.
The weird thing is, the Shi'ar was the one empire from Marvel that reminded me a lot of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, it's definitely very, like, heavily Roman-inspired. And just like how the Romans took, like, the most powerful member of each of the races they conquered and made them into a superpowered police force.
Yeah. Including the man who believes.
I should also clarify the Romans did not do that.
No, the Romans didn't do that. But the man who believes is just... I mean, Gladiator is just like... He's as powerful as he believes he is.
Yeah, like Gladiator is Purple Superman. Because also, that's the big thing. The Imperial Guard are all homages to the Legion of Superheroes, which is neat. So he is Superman. He has got bright purple skin, a big mohawk, and like Rob says, he is exactly as powerful as he believes himself to be.
Yes. I'm like, okay. I mean, there was a great story from, I think it was the late 80s, early 90s. It was a Fantastic Four story with a bit of a crossover with Captain America, where Gladiator is chasing a bunch of Skrulls through space, and the Skrulls basically come to Earth and start impersonating people, and so Gladiator ends up in a big fight with the Fantastic Four and Captain America and loads of other people. And he picks up the Baxter Building by one corner.
Excellent.
Like, cool.
That is some comicsy comics, and I like it.
Exactly.
Also, what's a neat idea, I think, is that each like member of the Imperial Guard, they are like that race's representative. So you've got, say, like Smasher, who is a big, strong dude. But when that Smasher dies, they just get like another member of that race, and they're like, okay, you're the new Smasher. And I like that kind of hereditary code name thing. But anyway, those were just kind of the honourable mentions for this week, because I figure we should touch on them.
Yes.
Now, the main meat and potatoes is Rob. I've got a list of 8 alien races. I want you to give me a number from 1 to 8. I'll give you a name. You've got to tell me what their deal is.
Oh, God. This is the area where the show could go horribly, horribly wrong, because I have...
Horribly right.
It could go horribly right, but I have, as people know, an overactive imagination, so if I don't know the answer, I'm more than likely to guess.
It's almost like I deliberately planned for that.
Right, okay, so I'll start off with number 3.
Okay, number 3. Rob, what's a Flora Colossi?
Flora Colossi? Isn't that Groot?
Ding, ding, ding. You are 1 for 8 even. That is the race that Groot is a member of. Both of them. Because there are, in fact, 2 Groots. Surprise, it was a twist answer. So, as we all know, Groot is a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Big friendly tree guy.
Yes.
The original Groot appeared in Tales to Astonish, issue 13, 1960, where he came from Planet X to try and take over the world.
He was one of the original Marvel monsters.
He was. He was also a big tree, but was not friendly.
No, he was not friendly at all.
And then he got eaten to death by termites, so screw that guy.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next number?
Number 8.
Number 8. What's a Clintar? Now, I'm going to say you theoretically should know this one.
A Clintar. Is this a weird alien race that where Clint Barton got kidnapped by aliens and then they tried to clone him and mix him with DNA from other aliens, but then they dumped like a male and female version of Clint Barton. No, just a version of Clint Barton on a planet by himself, but he reproduced by this weird thing that, like amoebas reproduced by splitting, and now you just got a planet of Clint Bartons.
I mean, that's a fantastic answer. Also, follow-up question. Do they all have Jeremy Renner's terrible hair from Avengers Endgame?
Yes.
Excellent.
But they're all like, they've all got weird appendages which allow them to hold like multiple bows. They've got no other superpowers, they just fire arrows.
See, well, first of all, for a second, I thought you said hold multiple balls. Like they're just really into cereal and soup. And second, weirdly on that bit, you're kind of almost right.
What?
Because the Clintar is the official name for the symbiotes.
Really?
Yeah. That's like what their race name is.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess you are kind of right, that because you know what's going to happen if Venom sees Clint. He's going to get him. Now, just to spoil the magic a little bit, producer Rob was in the room when I said that, and just the sharp intake of breath as I forced the memory of the Venom movie back into his mind.
Why'd you do that?
Because I delight in chaos, Rob. That's the whole point of this part of the show.
Number 6.
Number 6. Who are the Rigelians?
My immediate guess would be people from Rigel, but given that I don't know what the people from Rigel look like... Hang on. No, that's not them, because that was the weird 90s version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he was from... And that diamondish person was from somewhere else, not Rigel.
Martin X, he was from Pluto, I believe.
Do you know, I'm going to say the Rigelians, it's a race of weird toad-like creatures who basically are permanently seated on something that hovers, and when they eat certain things, they basically piss fire.
Where did that come from?
Farscape. Rigel from Farscape.
That is Rigel from Farscape. Sadly, no, that's not what they are. I mean, you are right, they are from Rigel. But Rigelians, who first appeared in Thor issue 129 from 1966, are an advanced race with psychic abilities, and so they have big old golden heads.
Okay.
And like giant green neck brace things that they have to wear because the heads are so big.
Okay.
Andrew, you're asking, did you literally scroll through Marvel Wiki, go, they have big heads, that's funny, and put them in? Yes. Yes, I did. However, they also, though, invented a thing I think are quite cool, the Rigelian Recorders, who are a race of sentient robots designed to kind of just observe events across the Earth.
So not the Watchers, then?
And by Earth, I mean universe, which is a different thing, but yes, that.
So not the Watchers?
No, they're legally distinct from the Watchers.
I'm very concerned at how much Marvel likes voyeurism.
It's a worrying trend, isn't it?
Exactly. And you got the Watchers, you got the Rigelian Recorders. How many others have you got?
See, what I really like about the Rigelian Recorders is they've got big red glowy eyes and human faces that are always in like a slightly disapproving frown.
Just looking through the window at a couple getting their relations on, just the disapproving frown.
Or just anything like, you just imagine, yeah, I think this is a pretty good looking omelette. And they just look over to the crowd who's just,
I've done a good job fixing this car. Oh, God.
In fact, you know what I can even bring you a picture of one because I think they look quite cool. Or I would if Google Chrome wanted to load. Rigelian Recorder.
Your description of them does remind me of the Mekon from Dan Dare.
Basically like those dudes. And they've got often like weird tech bits on their chest, which I like.
It reminds me, the design reminds me a little bit of Rogue Trooper for some reason.
Yeah, it is kind of almost a bit Rogue Trooper-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think they look neat. And I like the idea of like overly serious robots watching everything you do. They know how you poop. Next number, Rob.
Since you said poop, number 2 it has to be.
Fair enough. Okay, number 2, I think you might know this one. What are the Pop-Upians?
The Pop-Upians?
Pop-Upians.
Are they mole people who live in the ground?
Right franchise, but no.
I'm even more confused when you said right franchise, but no.
Because they are Fantastic Four characters. Nope, this is the race from the 10th dimension, and one of them first appeared in Fantastic Four issue 11 in 1963. They're the race of the Impossible Man.
Really?
Yeah, they're the weird green shapeshifty dude who can turn into anything.
Okay, that's... I didn't know that he was from the Pop-Upians.
Yeah, but from the planet Pop-Up in the 10th dimension, which is so dangerous that its race developed the ability to transform into anything to escape like the thousands of perils they face every day.
That explains a lot.
Like Impossible Man, he's a weirdo. He just shows up, starts playing pranks. Gets beaten up by the Fantastic... He's literally it's just a prank bro, but in comics form.
I remember the Impossible Man. Do you remember the 90s Hulk comics when Rick Jones finally got married?
Yes.
And everyone started turning up to his wedding, including all the supervillains. And like, oh, we got invited. And Hulk's ready to fight. He's like, no, we got an invitation. And he's going, really? And it just in the background, you got the Impossible Man going, no one's going to get this. Because he's got Rom, who's basically in human form for some reason. He's got like various other people that Rick's teamed up with over the years. And he's like all the supervillains that Hulk and Rick and Captain America have fought over the years. And everyone's just piling in to Rick Jones's wedding.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Impossible Man light-hearted pranks that end in like maiming and disaster.
Well, it did end in Mephisto appearing and trying to claim Rick's fiance's soul.
Like I said, maiming and disaster.
Yep.
Next number, Rob.
Since you said maiming and disaster, number 5.
Number 5. Oh, this is a good one. Rob, what are the McLuhans?
McLuhans?
McLuhans.
The McLuhans. It's the enemy clan of the McLeods, and they were enemies because their names were so similar, and they couldn't... They couldn't live in one valley together. So the McLuhans were took to the stars. Somehow they developed space technology in like 10th century Scotland and took to the stars back to the planet Zeist, where originally the Highlanders came from.
You know, I was going to say Highlanders in space, don't be ridiculous, but that's right. That turned into a sci-fi franchise.
I know.
God, that's a weird franchise, isn't it?
And then they returned to take out all of the McLeods, but realised there were only 2 McLeods left. There was only Duncan and Connor. And weirdly, Duncan had a TV series.
I mean, no, Rob. That's everything you said is patently ridiculous. I mean, Scottish barbarians from space. They're clearly dragons from the Andromeda Galaxy, Rob. They're a race of giant alien dragons from the planet Kakaranthara in the Andromeda Galaxy who came to Earth for funsies and got mistaken for ancient dragons.
Is this what Fin Fang Foom is from?
That is exactly what Fin Fang Foom is from.
Fin Fang Foom who put Boom Boom in his pants?
Yes.
And Rob's just sitting there going, what are you talking about? If you don't know what we're talking about, read Next Wave and then you'll understand.
Yes. So, do you know what my favourite thing about the Macluans is? Apparently, they can adopt human form, but Fin Fang Foom just chooses not to.
See, that's an old dragon myth anyway, that dragons, once they reach a certain point, can basically adopt human form and just wander around as humans. That's like in Chinese mythology and Western mythology. It's been around for centuries.
And more importantly, in hit TV series The Witcher.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yep, there it is. There's toss a coin to your Witcher. It's never going out my head. Also, the other fun fact is that also actual dragons exist in the Marvel Universe.
Yes, they do. Of various types as well, I've noticed. Marvel never really limited themselves to just doing the big old Western dragon, you know, like Smaug or Smog or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's my favourite. Like, Fin Fang Foom is an alien who comes to Earth, gets mistaken for a dragon, but also, like, is not to be mixed up with the actual dragons who already live on Earth.
Yeah. Do you know the bizarre thing? The more I think about Fin Fang Foom, the more I think he's like a dragon. He's like a dragon kid. He's basically like a 7 or 8 year old in terms of human age, but he's also a little bit of a special child.
I do like there's just a lot of dragons sitting there going, oh, look at that young whippersnapper.
Yeah, exactly. Fin Fang Foom's going, because he refers to himself in like the third person. Fin Fang Foom will do this.
Yes, Fin Fang Foom will put you in his pants.
Exactly. And you only really hear kids talking about themselves like that.
Oh, I feel sad that Machine Man murdered him.
Machine Man is a child killer.
He's a bad bloke.
He is a bad bloke. We've uncovered the dark secrets of Marvel here.
This has got a bit grim. Will there be a less grim number? In that, what have we got left? We have got 1, 4, or 7.
1, 4, 7. Let's go with 7.
Okay. Oh, that's good. You've stumbled upon my favourite one, Rob, who are the Tribetites.
The what?
The Tribetites.
See, it doesn't help when you hold your hand up in a claw and say it in a dramatic fashion.
I mean, it makes me feel better.
I'm going to try it now. The Tribetites. Actually, it does work.
It's fun.
Yeah. I like that. I can do that more often when I'm talking about people. I want to order some pizza.
Good pizza. But anyway, the Tribetites, I will give you a hint. They are actually similar to one of the guesses you made for one of the other species.
Okay, now we...
Yes, as implausible as that sounds, at one point, part of the spew of absolute madness that's come forth from your mouth was a bit right for these specific ones.
Was it Weird Scottish Clan going to space, or was it... was it the... No, it can't have been the planet of Clint Barton stuff with tentacles and firing arrows. I've actually forgotten what I've said.
That's fair enough. I feel like the rest of us, you do your best just not to listen to it. I dropped my iPad because I was that surprised.
Right, okay. The Tribetites are a race of small, furry creatures that infest everywhere and make a very soothing noise. And no, that's tribbles.
That is tribbles, yes. I mean, if it's any consolation, Tribetites are also quite troublesome.
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?
I am definitely doing this on purpose.
Troublesome Tribetites. Oh, no. I'm going to go completely left field here. There are ways. This is how much my brain hurts now. I can't even speak.
I've broken you.
They're a race of weird snake-like creatures that covered in fur and scales. I don't know how that works, but they got both, and they've got like a half human, half snake, but it's actually the other way around, so that they walk around on 2 legs, but they have like the upper body of a snake and the arms of a snake. How that works, I don't know, but they've got the arms of a snake, right?
The arms of a snake.
And they have weird powers where they can control gravity, and they send their champion off into space to conquer other worlds. But then he ran into Gladiator, who basically kicked his backside, and now they're part of the Shi'ar Empire.
I mean, that was a delightful journey you've taken us on, but no, not at all. These are the Toadmen, who first appeared in Incredible Hulk issue 2.
Are these the Toadmen of Throg fame or something else?
No, these are ones who are not actual frogs. They are kind of like sort of very short, squat, orange-faced little goblin-y dudes.
I know who they are.
Yeah,
I know
they're these ones.
Yes, I've seen them. Do you know what I've seen them in? You remember I did that, what was it? Before Christmas, I covered a trade paperback, it was done by a lot of the writers and artists, the female writers and artists from Marvel. And I can't remember what the name of it was. Is it Legends or Freedom or something like that?
Oh, yeah. To begin with a D? I want to say a D.
When I remember it, I will tell you. But the first story in there, which was basically a camp for young girls, and they had Captain Marvel and Susan Storm and all these other prominent female heroes coming to give talks at this camp. Like, it was all about empowering the younger generation of women who were up and coming and everything like that. And Kamala Khan was involved. And then there was the alien invasion, which was from those Toads, if I remember rightly.
Oh, I definitely need to read this then, because I love the Toadmen.
They just appeared out of nowhere and started shooting, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I just think they have really fun designs. Also, they have great names, because they are from the planet Croak, and their members include King Todius V, Queen Froja, Amphos, Bufo, Gridney, Grodnik, Hellkooky, and Totruck. Totruck. Also, are you ready for... Because I'm going to quote you from the Marvel Wiki itself. Biology. The Tripartites are humanoids reptilian. They don't seem to possess hair. Their genitals appear to be located on their knees. Their genitals are located on their knees.
Do you remember that Star Trek movie? It is a later Star Trek movie with William Shatner, where I think it was was it The Final Frontier, the one where they've been accused of murdering the Klingon ambassador?
Oh, geez, I don't know. Star Trek is just like a lump.
You know what my memory's like. I just remember random things based on what you guys say. And there is actually a fight in there between William Shatner and some other prison guy. And at the end, William Shatner basically kicks the guy in the knees, and the guy and this big alien guy just collapses. And she goes, not everyone, this woman says, not everyone has their genitals in the same place, you know.
Fabulous. It's probably inspired by that then.
So, not the first time I've heard of genitals in the knees.
I think that's probably a good place to sort of draw this to a close. Shall I just read? Well, I'll tell you the names of the last two. We've got the Elan and the Kitans. Okay,
the Elan, I know that name, but I cannot remember for the life of me.
It's another Fantastic Four one. This one from issue 24 in 1964.
Oh, God.
So it's early Fantastic Four.
So the Elan are a race of beings from the seventh dimension. They wander around the stars, cleaning up all sorts of trash and telling other races off for littering. They're like space janitors.
It's almost kind of the opposite. Because so the first Elan we meet is a character called the Infant Terrible, who is this spooky alien with kind of the, fly-like cross-hatched eyes and the big green antennas.
Yeah.
And he comes to Earth and starts destroying things with his vast reality warping powers. But it's okay, because Mr. Fantastic stops him using his ultra-wave projector to call his parents.
And what do his parents do?
They kind of just grab him by the ear and take him home.
Okay, right. And what was the other one? The Kite Mans?
The Kite Hands. No, this is not a base of Kite Man.
Have you watched the Harley Quinn cartoon yet?
I have not. It's on
Kite
my
Man
list
in that
to
is
get around
amazing.
to.
Kite Man is amazing in that. Seriously.
Hell yeah.
And also weirdly dating somebody I didn't expect.
But anyway, stop dodging the question. Who are the Kitans, Rob?
The Kitans are an intergalactic race of dinosaur explorers who left planet Earth 70 billion years ago before the Jurassic extinction event. And so they've been roaming the stars because they lost their way and ended up in the Delta Quadrant where they met Janeway in the Voyager starship.
Now, you're actually not going to believe this, Rob, but all of that you just said...
There's a lot of twaddle.
Yeah, it's entirely wrong. Not even a little bit close to right.
See, you say it's entirely wrong, but if this was Star Trek, it'd be absolutely correct.
Yeah, that's definitely an episode of Star Trek, isn't it?
Yes.
No, these actually inhabit the planet Kai, which is in the microverse.
Now, that explains why I didn't remember it.
Yeah, the microverse, if you don't know, is kind of a parallel dimension that you can reach by sort of like shrinking down small enough that you sort of fall between the cracks of reality.
Yeah.
There were lots of drugs in the Marvel office in the 70s.
Yes. The microverse is where the Micronauts are from.
It is.
But
I think Marvel still sort of have rights to.
Well, they kind of do have rights to certain aspects of the Micronauts, but they don't have like full rights because Hasbro has the majority of the rights since the original Marvel comic was based on the Hasbro toys. And the toys came out first, so Hasbro has that's why Hasbro gave the rights to, was it IDW? Was doing the recent...
Yeah, I think IDW is the one who's got like all the Hasbro toy things. I think they were doing like Transformers. Actually, I think they might not even be doing Transformers. They're definitely doing Ron the Space Knight though.
Yeah, but the original Marvel run of Micronauts was great. And then IDW's version of Micronauts was good. I liked it, but it just, I don't know, it just lacked a bit of... it felt a bit too safe.
Yeah. I should also point out the Kitans have nothing to do with the Micronauts. They're actually a planet that the Hulk visited when he got shrunk into the microverse.
Hulk was in the microverse?
He was, yeah. Like for a whole big chunk of time in like the 1970s. Because it started in like issue 140 in 1971 and ended, I think, in like the early 200s.
No wonder Thunderbolt Ross was so angry during that time. Spent so long looking for Hulk, not realizing that Hulk was nowhere near anywhere.
Yes, I don't know, Thunderbolt Ross. You might find he's right under your nose.
Oh, God. Hulk's inhabiting a section of the microverse in Thunderbolt Ross's mustache.
Yes. Anyway, Hulk falls in love with the queen of Kai, who is called Jurella, and then she dies, and it's sad.
Yes.
General Ross does keep his mustache, though, so you know, every card has a silver lining.
Now, Hulk's not had much luck with female characters, has he?
No. I mean, I feel like that's comics characters in general, isn't it?
He did kind of settle down during the 90s with Betty Ross.
Yeah, and then I guess she died, but she's better now. Well,
yeah,
she's less
better.
dead.
She's much better now.
But better is a subjective term, I think.
Well, in her own words, she's basically in the form that she was always meant to be in.
Immortal Hulk's real good.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, surprise. You thought this week wasn't going to end with us saying that Immortal Hulk is really good. But it did. All right, shall we take a break there and come back with what we've been reading?
Yes.
Good, because that's what we're doing.
I had to think about that for a second there. I'm still stuck on alien races.
Yeah, you had me worried you were going to say no for a second. That was going to throw things right off.
Hi, this is Krillin. And this is Usopp. And you're listening to The Geek Show!
Perplexed by the pompous, ponderous piffle purveyed by normal art critics? Well, you've come to the right place, because we're not normal. We take a not-so-serious look at the serious worlds of art and literature. Join Sarah, Andrew, Rob and Graham for a piffle-free journey through the cultural landscape of the 21st century. Literary loitering. Because you can't make a cultural omelette without smashing a few eggheads.
Welcome back. And Andrew is going to lead us in the charge for the things that we've been reading, and he's now wearing gloves.
Like when you said you had a way to effortlessly work that into the show, it was just to say that I'm wearing gloves.
Yes.
Yeah, that's 4-panel, isn't it?
Brain hurt, no. But alien races.
Yeah, Rob's going to need a moment, so I'll do a review. And of course, before I start, big thanks as always to Turnaround Books, who have provided us with all the things we'll be reviewing today. So, to kick things off, I have got Volume 4 of Kino's Journey, The Beautiful World by Iruka Shiomiya, with original story by Keiichi Sigsawa and original character design by Kohaku Kuroboshi.
It's always fun watching you.
The gloves are so slippy, Rob. That's a problem I've found.
It's always so fun watching you pronounce Japanese names.
It is. It is just like a general haze of mild panic. I struggle with my own name and just words that I use every day. So, yeah, as per usual, this is, again, Kino and her motorbike Hermes, which is called a motorrad in this series because it's good to be precise.
Yes.
Just travelling around this sort of unknown continent, visiting various places and countries. And again, we've got a few short stories. We have got... well, first of all, the prologue, which I really like as kind of a balancing things out, is called Adrift in a Scarlet Sea, which is just like Kino and Hermes. They're sort of in like a field of flowers, and she's, just having a nice time singing along. And I like that's kind of a showing that, she's carefree. She's got like no real responsibilities. But then like that kind of contrasts with the first story, The Land of Magicians, where we see sort of the other side of that in the, like, Kino's talking to Hermes about, I don't know where we should go next. Trying to play it off as well, I guess, it's not like we've got anyone waiting for us anywhere. But I think it does kind of get across that it's probably quite a lonely life she's got, just, drifting from place to place. And kind of got her maybe thinking a bit like, what's my purpose in all of this? But then she meets the sort of titular magician, who is actually a woman trying to build an airplane. But basically, to launch the airplane, she needs a kind of a runway, and there's a street in the country that would be perfect, but it's got a bunch of statues on it, and the kind of ruling body refuse to move those statues because they're like, no, these are like the founders' statues. We can't move them, not for this crazy pipe dream. I mean, I think one of the characters even says, "You call those wings? You've fastened them on far too tightly. How are they going to flap?" God.
Wasn't that a thing that was levelled at like the Wright brothers and other people as well?
Yeah, I think it is like probably taken exactly from that. Because, it's, what's her name? Certainly somewhere in this book she says what her name is. Yeah, Nemia. Oh, she's got a Japanese name. It's Nemia Chihachikoa. That's probably not right. That's probably not right at all. I should have... I didn't have to go for the name, but no.
Her name is Keith.
Yes. Her name is Keith Chachi. I guess it's ironic that in this story about flight, I flew too close to the sun. But yeah, it's fun because it becomes this kind of thing of them thinking, okay, well, we can't get this statue moved, so how do we make the plane like take off with a shorter distance? Like it is just this whole process of them kind of sitting down and figuring stuff out. And it's quite neat the way they decide to do it. Because I'll just say it, if you want to skip ahead a few seconds if you're planning on reading it. So basically Kino's just like idly like making finger guns. And like, and she kind of Chachi, which that's what we're calling her, sees it and goes, well, could we like fire the plane like a gun? But obviously no, because first of all, we need a massive cannon to do that, and it would probably destroy the plane.
Yeah.
But like, as Kino's doing the finger gun, because she's used to like having a big, massive Smith & Wesson revolver thing, so she actually does like the full recoil thing.
Yeah.
And like, Chachi realizes, what if like we made a system of essentially using recoil to like launch the plane into the air?
Like a catapult.
Yeah, kind of like a catapult. And I like it as I'm not sure as to like the actual science behind it, but as a bit of storytelling logic of, we can't do this, but what if we do this? I think it's a really satisfying bit of, they've worked stuff out.
Well, I can kind of see the logic on it. In terms of the physics of it, there is actually some logic to it because, the space shuttle, there was a system of the space shuttle where it was actually mounted on the back of a plane. And the plane took off and basically flew up and gathered up enough speed, and then they basically fired off the space shuttle from there.
Yeah, I guess it's that same logic of kind of it just needs that extra kick to get it airborne.
Yes. Or to travel through dimensions.
So you still need another 5 minutes or so, do you?
It was a Flash reference where he basically gets Supergirl to basically run with him up to top speed and then grab him and throw him for the extra oomph so he can cross dimensions.
Right, it was just the absolute haunted look in your eyes you had as you said that.
I have to return to safer climes of the DC multiverse on TV.
Anyway, then there's also a second story, and there's a little one about, just, getting involved with a kid who doesn't want to go to war, but maybe he does have to. That's fine, that's just a few short pages long. But then the other story is super depressing, because it's called The Story of the Paintings. And basically, it starts off as just like a wacky comedy bit. Like, Kino goes to a country, and they've got loads of pictures, loads of paintings of tanks hung up everywhere, with the idea being that, like, the country had just 5 years ago had a massive civil war, and now they're really invested in, no, we're never going to have a war again. And, these paintings of tanks, they're to remind us never to resort to the barbarity of war ever again. And you can see, look at the significance of the artist, like drawing tanks with their huge crushing wheels and armoured plating that can still easily be destroyed by the horrors of war. And then as Kino's leaving town, she meets a guy on the side of the road with an easel. She kind of asks, "Oh yeah, are you that guy who's painting all the tanks?" And he says, "Yeah, because I freaking love tanks. That's so cool." But then it gets sadder because what's his name? The other guy who Kino met, is it Shijuki, something like that? Basically, the guy was like trying to launch a coup in a different country in the last volume.
Yeah.
He shows up with that is like he's now also just traveling about like Kino, and he shows up in that same country like a few months later. That's really depressing because basically everyone's found out that the guy painting tanks was just painting tanks because he likes tanks, and declared enough fraud and started burning all his paintings. And now all he can draw is like really horrible, twisted shapes of his own depression.
Oh, wow.
And like the irony is, those ones are actually like really great art, whereas his painting of tanks was just like mediocre pictures of tanks. But he doesn't want to draw the really good arts because they make him sad. So yeah, that's the message of Kino's journey. Art. It's all bollocks, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. That's some more Kino's journey. We had some laughs, we had some tears, and maybe we learned a little lesson along the way.
Tanks are cool.
Tanks are cool. That's the important takeaway from today's show.
Yes. Right. Okay. So I'm going to lead us off with something from League of Legends, because I'm continuing my run with League of Legends, which is a weird crossover for Marvel to do. League of Legends and Marvel combining to tell stories of League of Legends. And yeah, this is called Lux, and this, I'm assuming, is also about a character from League of Legends. Now, I did cover
that is the thing that is probably correct.
I did cover another one of these, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember the name of the one that I covered.
It's in the constellation, I can't. And in fact, had no idea you'd done a League of Legends thing until this very moment.
I did. It was last year at some point, and I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, this is written by John O'Brien with art by Billy Tan of Tan Comics, because it actually says that.
I hope Mr. and Mrs. of Tan Comics are proud of old Billy Tan.
Yeah, with inks by Heining, Kuzu, Chan Chan, and Taco of Tan Comics, colours by Gadsden of Tan Comics, letters by John Rochelle of Comicraft, and cover art by a bunch of other people. And so...
Yeah. So in essence, what it sounds like is League of Legends have like got a small comic studio to make this comic, and then published it through Marvel because they're a bigger name.
Yes. And this starts off with a young blonde girl, or blonde knight girl, type of person because she looks like a knight of some sort.
Yeah, she's got the armor, including the good old traditional fantasy Boobus armor.
Yes, the Boobus armor. And she's basically helping a knight through basically a destroyed city, the ruins of a city that's on fire and everything like that. It turns out that the guy she's helping is her brother, and the girl and her brother are part of the Crown Guard family. And they live in a city called Demacia, if I remember rightly. And the story is set weeks ago from the first page. And in Demacia, they basically hate mages. They don't like mages at all. And they imprison mages because apparently 1,000 years ago they had a war with mages and loads of people died. And so Demacia found a way to cancel out magic, and they have been sitting pretty all of this time, remembering their hatred from 1,000 years ago. But at this point, my attitude is, it was 1,000 years ago, get over it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just like fantasy storytelling trope, section A, subsection B12, isn't it?
Yes, we remember stuff from 1,000 years ago. But anyway, this girl is looking at stuff, and there's a young there's a young mage who's basically on the run from the peacekeeping force, and she's basically trying to avoid hurting people, and it gets the young girl, who I'm assuming is called Lux because her name is on the cover. We'll get to why her name is funny in a bit, but
I'm also slightly distracted by the man on the cover who seems to have two gigantic snail shells for shoulders.
Yeah, pauldrons of those size would really hinder movement.
I mean, I guess if Judge Dredd can make it work.
Yes. So anyway, her name is Lux, and she is a Crown Guard, and she is destined to be one of these mage hunters and keep the peace in Demacia for the Demacians and fight against mages and everything like that with the hey and the whatever else it is. But there is a problem. See, it turns out Lux has magic powers. Dun, dun, dun!
No, but that's like the thing that the city doesn't like.
Yes, and her brother doesn't know, but maybe he does know. Maybe he suspects something. But Lux, because of the environment that she's in, she's not allowed to talk about her problems. And this initially seems like an allegory of kind of growing up and discovering things and everything like that.
Also, again, I want to put it, I assume it's from a different point in the story, but there was like a bit in the back of Lux just like firing blasts of light from her hands. And I really want to imagine that like this is at this point where she's like blasting things out. Going, gosh, I hope my brother doesn't suspect I'm a mage. Meanwhile, the brother goes, I'm not sure people can fire blasts of light from their hands.
Yes. So anyway, we will get to that in a bit. What happens is that Lux, she uses her authority as a Crown Guard, as a member of the Crown Guard family, to go into the most secure mage prison in the city because she's curious, and they let her even though she looks like a schoolgirl and obviously doesn't have any real authority, but they let her because why not? Which leads to pictures like that.
Oh, good. That's
Yeah.
That's suggestive, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. A very, very suggestive cover, which I'm not going to go into. But it turns out that the person who is in that cell, I'm trying to remember his name. The person who was in that cell is Silas of Dregborn, and he apparently is the most heinous of all mages. He's killed loads of people.
Silas?
Yeah, Silas. He's the most heinous of all mages. He's killed loads of people, and when they hunted him down, they were they were very cruel, and they've locked him in a prison where they siphon off all his magic powers and yada yada yada.
Okay, but say all that again with a West Country accent.
Silas of Dregborn.
Yeah,
No,
that's Silas.
Our Silas. Our Silas. He's in prison. I can't do a West Country accent.
For heinous crimes, including not loaning his combine harvester.
Yes. But anyway, Lux meets Silas, and Silas basically fills her head with all sorts of things. But obviously, given that cover art, you see there's more sinister things in mind. He has more sinister things in mind. and he recognizes Lux as a fellow mage, as a fellow magic user. But things kind of spiral out of control because Lux is basically a teenager who doesn't really understand anything about the world, and obviously he gets manipulated by Silas, whose powers don't work the way that everyone thinks they work, because, that's not a Deus Ex Machina right there.
I think you're lying. I think it is a Deus Ex Machina.
So, yeah, somehow Lux ends up with a wand that allows her to basically use magic. It's her first wand. She's given it by these mages that she's rescuing when she gets into an argument with her brother, who now understands that she has magic powers. Right.
On account of all the magic she keeps doing.
Yes. But this is where I kind of lose interest. Well, I kind of lost interest like about 4 or 5 pages into this, but I stuck with it because, we have a job to do. We have to cover these things. And aside from the artwork looking typical fantasy artwork, I really couldn't buy into it. I mean, there were bits of the story that really made no sense whatsoever, right? After 1,000 years, you'd think they'd have more of an understanding of how magic works. And if magic is intrinsic in that world, as proper world building would suggest, then everyone has a degree of magic.
1,000 years is a long time.
Yeah, I know. 1,000 years is a long time, and surely they would have worked out their issues with mages, and people would basically have some kind of peace treaty. Maybe there'd be a mage city somewhere, and if they found somebody who was a magic user, they'd basically deport them to the mage city instead of putting them in prison.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just whatever. 1,000 years is a long time for there to be like a one status quo.
Yeah, and that's
one of those weird things you see in a lot of storytelling now. I feel like of just people not knowing how time works.
Yeah, but again, we come to that thing of not knowing how time works. You'd think after 1,000 years they'd have more of an understanding of how magic works, and so they wouldn't put Silas of Dregborn into a prison where actually it's surprisingly easy for him to break out of the prison.
Yeah, which again, if it is that easy, how has it worked for like 1,000 years?
See, this is the thing. They don't. The mage hunters apparently have no real idea of how magic works.
Or maybe those other mages just weren't as powerful because they weren't all hopped up on Scrumpy Jack.
Well, you say that, but there is actually a scene where the young female mage from the beginning of the story is actually in prison, and she is being forced to drink something.
Oh no. Cider from Silas's special reserve.
So, the reason why I find this funny is because it's called Lux, and her power... Guess what her power base is?
Is it light-based?
Yes.
That's certainly convenient, isn't it?
Like, somebody didn't put a lot of thought into this, did they?
I mean, good on her parents for predicting that she's going to have weird light powers.
I don't think her parents had anything to do with it. I think it was the person who wrote this went, light-based powers, let's call her Lux.
I mean, I guess it makes sense from like a game standpoint of where it's just this character can do light stuff. They are called Lux.
I will say, credits to the person who wrote this and who wrote the character originally, because I don't think it was John O'Brien. I think this might be an existing League of Legends character. Light-based powers called her Lux, and I'm thankful that they chose the light-based powers because, bizarrely enough, Lux is also the name of a brand of soap from the 1980s.
Look, I would read that.
I have soap-based powers.
Lux is here to wash out crime. Fall beneath my soapy suds of power.
See, the weird thing is, I say that, but there's actually in One Piece, there's actually a character who's a member of CP9 who has these weird powers that make you ridiculously smooth and clean. She's got weird soap-based powers.
Sure. No, you know what, Rob? I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't give a Lux.
Anyway, speaking of weird powers...
Yeah, I guess that kind of works. Because my second one, which admittedly is probably going to be a bit of a quick one, is The Legend of Korra, Ruins of the Empire, Part 2. So this picks up from the last book, which came out forever ago, and I basically remember the plot of. In the Earth Kingdom, it's trying to transition to a democracy, so it's holding elections. But the bad guy, Commander Guan, who was kind of part of the army of Kuvira, who was the bad guy in the last series of the TV show, which again, a TV show that finished several years ago. He is trying to basically re-establish the Earth Empire by using brainwashing to kind of hijack the elections. And Korra and friends, including now Kuvira, who's like kind of trying to redeem herself. Because I think she was like a vaguely noble bad guy. They're trying to stop him. And that's Andrew's recap of a comic book continuation from several months ago of a TV show that ended years ago.
Although there is apparently a fourth series of the original Legend of Aang coming out soon, which might suggest more Korra might come out as well.
That would be cool. Because like, I do love, as much as like, I am having fun at the expense of, I do not remember all the plot details. I do like the Avatar franchise a lot.
Yes, same here. And also, I just want to ask one thing, right? He's Commander Guan. Yeah, Guan.
Yep.
All right.
Guan.
Guan. Okay, Guan. Now, you said he's brainwashing people. And for some reason, my brain went to like a weird Avatar crossover, a weird Korra crossover with Father Ted.
Yeah, and he's brainwashing people through repeated cups of tea.
Yeah, go on. You're going to vote for me, aren't you? Go on.
Yeah, just that bit where like they're strapped into the chair with the brainwashing helmet on, and then Mrs. Dollar's off to the side with just the word "go on" written on the card. Just go on. Oh, that's very good. I like that a lot.
Who are you going to vote for?
Well, not go on, because Joe Korra's got to be the person running against him. Toph Beifong.
That's going to be super tough.
That's, as much as we love the Father Ted.
Sorry. I couldn't resist the bad pun there.
Get out, Bob. That's even by 4 Palestinians, that's too far.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm glad that that's like something they are picking up from the series of just Toph being like this weird hermit who lives in the swamp and actually like doing something with that, because that was quite depressing.
I really like Toph as a character.
Yeah, she's the best one.
Ever since she was introduced in the original Aang series, I've always regarded Toph as the most interesting character in all of the Avatar franchise, and that's across Korra and Aang.
Yeah, because I think especially the idea that she is blind and so has to use earthbending to like sense vibrations and stuff. It's a really interesting use of her powers.
Well, it's not just that. I mean,
and just the fact that she's cool as hell.
It's not just that. I mean, it's basically when you look at aspects. I mean, there were episodes in the Aang series that focused on Toph's life at home. You know, her life with her parents and things like that. And even though things weren't spoken out loud about how her parents might be disappointed in the fact that their daughter is blind, there was that kind of weird isolation of her character by other kids of her age.
Yeah, I guess I think it was like kind of a quite realistic depiction of what you do, like when there's not systems in place for helping to deal with this.
Yeah. I also like the fact that when they did the play towards the end of the Aang series.
Yes, and she was played by like a big burly man.
And that was actually a joke by the writers, because that was originally the idea for Toph.
Yeah. I do vaguely remember reading that. Instead of just like a punky little 10-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly it's another one of those chapters where it seems to kind of more just be a middle bit. Like it's building towards the kind of big conclusion. I feel like the big conflict in this is that like Asami, Mako, and Bolin, they get brainwashed.
Yeah. And
so Korra has to fight them. But I feel like it's like not really that emotional, especially because she's been told beforehand, no, that they're just brainwashed. So like you have to start. It's not like oh no, my friends, why have you turned against me?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess, because in a sense that is also a dumb plot line of, oh no, I guess my friends have, like, in the past 5 minutes suddenly decided they support the villain. That this is definitely a thing they're doing of their own free will.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really get heel turns like that outside of wrestling, do you?
No, you don't, but imagine if we did.
I love you. No, I hate you. No, I love you again.
Okay, come on, Avengers, let's stop Thanos for the final. Actually, now I've decided I'm going to join him. God damn it, Clint.
But he's got the planet of the Clintars. Oh, no. Actually, no, the Clintars are the symbiotes, so it would be the Clint Bars. It's all your fault, Marvel, you and your weird aliens.
I've created a monster. Anyway, yeah, I will re-say what I always say with these Legend of Korra ones, is I enjoy them. I just do not like the way they're published, with like these very slim volumes coming out every like other month or so.
Yeah, they should just basically do it all as one story.
Or just regular, because what this feels like is an episode of the TV show.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's about that much content. And I think that works when you're getting like one episode per week. But it's not a lot. Because it took me 20 minutes to read. Like, literally, I read this morning over breakfast in 20 minutes. And
That's not a lot of time.
It's not a substantial meal.
Yeah. I don't know if they'd release stuff like that on a regular basis, as they do with, say, Marvel Comics or DC Comics or something like that. I reckon there's probably not enough content for them to do that. Or given the fact that they're working from an existing franchise that's actually got a lot of history to it and a lot of lore to it, they probably have to sit down and work out what fits where.
Yeah, I certainly do not know enough about the behind-the-scenes things to just yell at them and say, make this a weekly series.
Yeah.
Because also, not even big two comics, a lot of them aren't weekly, they're bi-monthly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, probably the best way to, just be release this whole story as a graphic novel.
Yeah, all in one. So you're telling a complete story. I think, and the advantage to that is that if you're telling a complete story, you can have one group of writers working on one complete story while another group of writers works on another complete story. And then you could look at doing monthly releases instead, which I think would really work.
Yeah, I think that would work a lot better.
Cool.
Are you going to close us out?
I'm going to close us out with something really dark and depressing now.
Hooray!
Because I have The Bad Bad Place by David Hine and Mark Stafford, which the artwork... Well, this is from Soaring Penguin Press, right? And the artwork, it looks like underground comics to a degree. You know, the old Robert Crumb type underground comics, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the sort of weird stuff you find the back of the shelf.
Yeah. But here's the thing. This takes place in originally a place that was called Far and Away Hills. Right? And the problem is that, let's see if I can begin at the beginning. At the beginning of the story, you have the town crier, or what looks like the town crier, and turns out to be the town crier, saying, turn around, leave this place, go back where you came from. And he's saying that to a young woman who's basically wandered into town.
Okay, but to be honest, I'd rather they wouldn't, because I want us to keep giving us comics.
Yes. But anyway, the young woman is basically looking for a place to crash, a place to get something to eat, and she asks the old man, "Where's everyone?" He says, "They're all gone. They've all gone. You need to go away. You need to leave now. There's nobody here. Nobody lives here anymore. Go away." And so the old man and the young girl basically go to a diner, and they're sitting there. They've made like a pot of coffee or whatever, and she says, "Tell me what's happened. Tell me what's going on. Why is everyone gone?" And the old man starts talking, because before this place was called Faraway Hills, it was a town called Crouch Heath. And Crouch Heath was down for redevelopment. There were loads, it was down for regeneration, redevelopment, that sort of thing. And so the investors, the builders, they all wanted to tear down the old town, rebuild it as faraway hills, and gentrify everything. Like is happening in our area. Everything's getting gentrified.
Yeah.
The problem is there was one tract of land that they couldn't buy. It was by the border of the old town, and it was owned by the Castevet family. And what had happened was the Castevet family owned this land in perpetuity. There was no way for the investors to buy this land off the Castevet family because, number one, no one knew what had happened to the old house that stood on that land. And number two, no one could find any descendants of the Castevet family, even though everyone was sure that there were descendants of the Castevet family, because the family was too big originally. And so Faraway Hills got built up, and it was a beautiful town, loads of people there, everything like that. Until one day, when the Castevet family home reappeared in the land by the border of the town.
Okay, now I'm interested.
Okay, so everyone's wondering how this house can suddenly reappear, and nobody knows. But what everyone knows is that this part of the town is known as the bad place. You don't go there. There are things that happen there. People lose their inhibitions. People get beaten, sometimes murdered. Animals can go missing, that sort of thing. And when the house reappears, the area gets just stranger. The only thing that they know is that there is a young, pretty blonde woman who basically answers the door to visitors. But what people don't realize, and what they slowly start coming to realize over time, is that whoever goes into the house doesn't come out. But nobody realizes it at first. And then what spins out of this is this tale of vengeance and horror, which I really like. I thought it's really gross and disturbing, and it's the kind of thing that if you gave it to a director like Guillermo del Toro, he'd basically pick it up and run with it.
Oh, see, this sounds really cool, because I know, like, when you brought this up, I was a bit put off by the art.
Yeah.
But no, this sounds really cool.
I mean, it starts off, the vengeance starts off with the youngest son of the matriarch of the Castevet family. He goes missing one night, and a guy who's married into the Castevet family, he finds the young lad buried up to the neck in the graveyard, but when he pulls the young lad out, he finds that these grave worms had started eating into him.
Oh.
And then the young lad eventually dies. And this is a spoiler, but then things go on from there. And I'm not going to say what things happen from there. That's just the starting point.
Yeah, I'm not sure some things happen really qualifies as a spoiler.
No, I'm saying that is just the starting point. And the things that happen from there are weird and disturbing, and it's the kind of thing that I think you would really like.
I do, because I am a creepy weirdo.
And this is a creepy weirdo's graphic novel through and through. That's why on the cover you have the blonde female owner of the house playing the flute, while behind her is just weird shadow tentacles.
Spooky gubbins.
Yes. I've got to say, I really like The Bad Place. It's twisted.
I'm literally reaching over the table to steal it.
It's twisted in a way that that very few comics are these days.
Nice. And see, this is the virtue of working like in the same space together.
Yeah.
Is I can now just steal all your good comics.
I think you'll like that.
I think I'm intrigued.
Yes. Well, pass it here a second. Just pass it here 1 second. I will give you a hint of things to look forward to. Let me see here. A hint of things to look forward to.
Oh, goodness, that's
horrifying.
I'm sorry, listeners, but I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at, but it's a scary thing. There's so much flesh. And tentacles?
No.
Oh, these would look like kind of little mouth sucker things.
Those were Offspring.
I don't like your specific use of the term Offspring there.
And I don't mean the band.
Oh, good, because that'll be really horrifying.
I'm sorry, but those things are not pretty fly for a white guy.
And I think we're legally required to end the show there.
Yes. So, You can catch all our episodes on our website or find them on whatever podcast provider you're using. We are on, well, just about every single podcast provider we're on.
Yeah. Is there a place where you can listen to podcasts? You can probably find us there.
Yes. We're under every podcast rock and behind every podcast door.
Like an aggressive fungus.
Also on our website, Rob has the second article of his video gaming series up, which is a pretty interesting redo. We also have all of our other shows on our network as well. And if you want to support us, our Patreon link is on the site as well.
Excellent stuff.
So until next week then, I've been Rob.
And I've been Andrew.
And next week we will be talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths.
We certainly will.
But until then, we'll see you all later.
And thanks for listening.